Hello and welcome to Printed. I'm Zach, and in this episode of Printed, I'm going to be designing a drone body for my custom drone project on Thought Provoking Tech. Today I'll be primarily focusing on designing the arms and the mounting for the motor points, and just designing a general body. The body will be something I'll be revisiting in the future once I have kind of the electronics, the battery, and everything figured out. I'll probably try to make integrated mounts for those. But for now, I mainly want to get a generic body so that I can shove some components inside there, just hollow it out. And with the arm and motor mounts hopefully designed to my satisfaction. So without further delay, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. To begin, my motor itself is roughly 1.15 inches in diameter. So I want to make a mounting base that's a little bit bigger. Let's go for 1.25. And let's go ahead and extrude that real quick. At about 1/8 of an inch. The screws that I have are not very thick, which will not allow a large, thick, nice base plate like I would like. But I'm going to try with this, and I have a design idea that I think might work. That's not what I wanted. So what I'm doing right now is positioning the screws. They are, I wish it would stop clicking itself or whatever's going on. 135 degrees. And the centers are 0.632 diagonal between each other. So I need to make that at 0.316. Let's go ahead and drop a point in there. And now we can not do a mirror, but we're going to take that geometry. And we want to take it around this axis. We only need 4 of these pieces. And those will be my mounting holes. So let's go ahead and use the hole tool. And I need holes that are 0.15. A little bit bigger than the diameter of the screws. To allow them to pass through, but not big enough that the head, of course, is going to have room to rest on the bottom. So that should be a nice mounting pad for the motor itself. And I want to design a somewhat of a shroud around this piece. So the entire motor, the blade is going to be about a 1/2 inch up from the base of the motor. So I'm going to do a little bit of a shroud around it, as well as a shroud below it too. The shroud below it isn't really going to protect much. It's just going to be there to allow more of the area for the base to connect to. So the mounting plate can connect to the arm. For that, I want to make a whole 2-inch sorry about that, 2-inch diameter circle, and I want to project that piece, and I want to extrude that. Let's do 3/8 of an inch. Centered on both sides. Just try going up and seeing what it's going to look like. Going to create that and see exactly how high that is going to be. So 1/4 of an inch up from the very bottom of that shouldn't be an issue at all. It is going to get to where the motor itself is starting to rotate, but I gave it plenty of room and it shouldn't really cause any issues there. Alright, not sure if it will really matter, but let's go ahead and design this from the top. And now I'm at the point I want to design the arms. So essentially what I want to do here is go at a 45-degree angle which will be 135. And I want to go out to totally mess that up. The edge of that. And at the same time, I want to go over, let's go over 1.5 inches. 1.75, let's do 1.75 inches. And design a nice smooth arc between those 2 points. Nothing exact, just something to, and that is not exactly what I wanted to do, because I do need to go up and give that some thickness. So let's do up 0.35 inches. And now go over 1.75. Alright, I now have that into place. And I want to make the arc that follows this. And then I want to give these arms about 2 inches of length. And then on the end of this, let's go ahead and go back down our 0.35 and let's go over 0.5. And do a 1.5 inch. Yeah, I don't think it need to be that big. Doesn't need to be that big. Let's go over 0.25 inches. And let's do a 1 inch circle on the end of this. All right, so without further delay, let's go ahead and it's not gonna let me select that. All right, select these 2 pieces by holding the shift key, not the caps lock key. And let's mirror those. Oh, I left the sketch somehow. That's rather annoying. So let me just select that though. There's not a mirror line there. Curses. Apply that and delete that line right there. And then go ahead and follow that arc real quick. Now we're ready to remove that. Okay, I thought that was touching. Apparently it's not touching. It's going to extend. That's annoying. Extend. Don't know what's trying to extend to the next line though. It's not making any sense at all. But we got it to work. Alright, so let's go ahead and extrude this piece down. It's just fun when it's a pain. Alright, let's see if that did it. And it did. Alright, so we have a nice thick arm there. Let's go ahead and finish that. And start a new sketch, creating projection so we can put our hole right there. Let's make the 1/4 inch hole. Don't know what type of screw I'm using exactly right now. So I figured I'd just leave that as is for this very moment. All right, so I have a design. My motor should set down in there. One last thing that I do want to do is set this, or I want to make a essentially a cavity inside here that has a little bit of hole here for the wire to follow down on the underside of this and be somewhat shrouded and hopefully able to be secured a little bit better. But I will hold off on that till I have the body made. So without further delay, let's go ahead and start a new sketch. Let's start by projecting that geometry. I must have started it on the bottom, start on the top. I want the arm blade to be exactly flush with the top of the drone itself. The reason I'm thinking that is so that the props, if I don't make this exactly big enough for the props to hang over, I'm thinking that if the blades go over the body a little bit, it won't be a big deal that way. Next thing I want to do is start here and let's go about 1 inch deep into the body and make our 45-inch piece and do this at 2.5 inches. After that, I want to design the next piece at 1.5 inches. And that will be the drone body itself. One final point is deleting these. I want to give that a nice fillet. So not a point, let's do 0.35. All right, that looks good. And I do want to create a circle around this one. Made that one at 1 inch, so let's do 1.6 or 1.06, sorry. And go ahead and follow these lines. And trim the interior of this. So what this will do is delete some constraints. So we can delete these pieces. We don't need that anymore. That'll give it a little bit of leeway so it can sink down into that piece. Alright, so the last thing I want to do is draw a couple lines so I can do my mirrors off of these two pieces and essentially have one last thing. Let's take a look at the top of this and give this top a little bit of a shape. So let's go up 1/2 inch. And from here, let's do 0 degrees. So it'd be 45 degree up and end that right there. And we just need to trim that back right there and do our mirror line. All right, so I have everything done that I wanted to get done. And let's go ahead and deselect that as a line and select that as our mirror line and apply. And once again, select everything and mirror it over our other mirror line. Okay, so not a bad kind of shape, I don't think. Let's go ahead and stick with it and extrude this body down 3/8 of an inch, making it a new solid. And let's turn visibility back on for our other piece. So I forgot to leave a little bit of leeway right there. So let's go back to our sketch. And let's just throw that right there. And right there. All right, let me go to the degrees, lock that in, there we go. Just a little bit more of, I don't know why I did that, should delete that line. All right, so just a little bit of leeway right there too on that piece. So let's go ahead and delete our mirrored pieces so we don't have to make that same change everywhere. And add our mirror lines back once again. And that is the beauty of having 3D models of your stuff. You can exactly see how parts fit up before you print something and find your flaw in your design. So let's mirror this over that axis or not. And mirror all that over this mirror line. Delete our last mirror line and finish that. And now our sketch has a nice little bit of room to breathe there. So we have the arm and the body kind of started out. Now need to make some spots where the body itself is going to probably enlarge a little and provide a housing for the parts underneath of it. So probably gonna leave that whole piece solid. And let's go ahead and provide a mounting point for these to actually screw down to. So start a sketch from the bottom of this drone. And real quick, that should be 5 inches. 5.7, I think I can print that. Let's see what's the point from where, over here to here. It's 5.6. I believe I should be able to actually print this. All right, I have to go look at the specs to be 100% sure, but I think it should be possible. So we're on our sketch down here. Let's go ahead and make this original sketch visible. Nah, let's leave it invisible. Geometry. We're no longer going to need this geometry right here. So we can go ahead and select a lot of it. And go ahead and delete it. See, constraints and then delete. Slowly but surely. Alright. It probably would have been faster just not to reject that geometry. Not exactly a 90-degree line, but should be fine. Alright, so let's go ahead and finish that and extrude that and just kind of see what it looks like. Let's go ahead and go over 1 inch. Alright, not bad. Decent looking drone. Going to cancel that. And let's actually lay out some interior parts on this drone. So let's go ahead and return to the sketch. Oh, I forgot a piece, I guess. Guess I forgot a lot of pieces. All right. I would like to put a point, well, whichever way's front, doesn't really matter which side's front, but to embed a camera in here for a first-person view camera for the drone, and possibly have one on the bottom for like actual footage that you're recording. But that'll be like another future project once the drone itself has been completed and proved that it's flyable. So for now, I'm just going to carve out some area in the center. That's another beautiful thing about designing like with an Inventor is your designs are easily editable once you're done with them. So let's go ahead and from these points, let's just go a full inch. And degrees. And let's go a full inch once again. And 90 degrees. All right, and now let's just take these 2 points between there and there and give that dimension of, okay, doesn't like that. So apparently those pieces are not linear. Let's do that at, let's do 1/4 of an inch. That's actually pretty big. Let's do 1/8 of an inch. The housing on the side doesn't really need to be all that big. Let's finish that, and let's go ahead and extrude that now. So that leaves a spot for these screws to screw down to the body itself. Leaves a little bit of area for electronics. Now one last thing is let's go to make solid 1 invisible. And let's take these points right here, start a new sketch, and project some geometry for those center points. Once again, we need to make a hole using the hole tool. And turn our arm back on. And granted, there's only one of those solids right now. I could replicate it and mirror it, but I don't think it's really necessary. I think everything's lining up fine. I do want to do one final solid that'll be a thin solid piece that'll just fit on the bottom of this. Maybe do a little bit of contour or something with it to give it a little bit good look. But let's go ahead and start on that piece real quick. So all we're going to do here is reject this geometry, removing these interior screws and the interior pieces. So let's delete all those constraints. Alright, so let's go ahead and extrude that. And we're just going to do this at 1/8 of an inch and as a new solid. Actually, I did want the screw holes because I will need those. All I really needed to get rid of was these. Actually, let's go forward with that. I've already undone it, so I can't go back. Because I don't want to have those as just representations of that. Let's go ahead and do that. And extrude 1/8 of an inch. And let's go ahead and start one final sketch. Oh, I forgot to do that extrusion as a solid. Solid. And let's do one final sketch. It takes that. Do a plane that's offset from this plane. Let's do it 0.25 inches. And start a sketch. And this is just purely for us, the looks. There we go. And let's just offset that. Bam. Extrude that 1/8 of an inch. And get rid of that work plane. And let's just loft that. That will make mounting the screws difficult though. So let's go ahead and go back to that loft. Extrusion. And take that offset. Let's project those holes. And make those holes in the flat spot. Okay. If I would have done another blank, it looked cool, but it would have made these mounting points on a non-flat surface, which would have been less than ideal for sure. Yeah, let's go ahead and do the extrusion, profile, that one. Go ahead and fill the holes in because I will need to screw this through both layers anyways. Alright, let's go ahead and move everything from here. So just go ahead and delete that. It'll be easier to just delete it and start over. And choosing that and that. Still looks pretty cool. Gives it a nice finishing touch. And let's go ahead and do that. Oops. One final step before that. Do start a sketch. And project those points. I don't need the outside point because that's what I've been doing. Should be the exact same center points, but just in case. Alright, we can now see all the way through. Cool. Screws them out all the way from the very top of this all the way down to the very bottom of that and hold it all together nice and tight, hopefully. And that should make individual arms fairly easy to take off, and should be able to take it all apart when you're done and throw it and take like the wings and won't be foldable like the new like DJI drone and I think what's the other one that can. There's another one. I think the GoPro has one that folds too. It wouldn't be like those that fold, but it should be easy to take them off and throw them in a smaller, bag to carry it and make it more mobile. Although it depends on how I actually do my wires, whether I have them hard soldered or have quick disconnects on those arms. You want to make them quick disconnects, but that just kind of depends. Alright, so now that I kind of have this body designed, let's go ahead and turn off the visibility to this one. And I will need to somehow get my electronics, the wires and so on and so forth, in through this part right here and into this body. So the easiest way is probably, honestly, just by doing a new sketch. Ejecting this piece right here. And that should be exactly opposite of that piece, but I'm not 100% sure. And let's just place a point right on that line. And dimension that line. So it's roughly 0.75, so 0.35. And finish. And let's go ahead and create a hole. Should be good. They do not line up, so let's do distance and let's do 2 inches. That should work. It's not the prettiest for sure, but it should work. Let's go and do okay. And I just need to do that a couple more times. Project this geometry point. Finish. Let's go ahead and do these real quick. Run through them. Check the geometry. There you go. Point. And I was silly the first time I didn't use the center point that's already there. Project this geometry point. Okay, finish. Let's go ahead and do a hole there. 2 inches. Let's go ahead and stick with it. All right, so those are all carving through the point where these will drill down. However, I don't think that's going to be an issue at all. There's going to have plenty of flat part right there to rest. Oh, that will be an issue. You have a screw going through there. Duh. All right. All right, so I have a nice looking body, and essentially what I'm going to do now is carve a hole through the body and put it into so the wires can be nice and hidden. So let's go ahead and try that real quick. First thing, let's go ahead and abandon that one. Let's go to this one. I want to project the geometry of this part. And so I can't go exactly center because I'll hit my screw hole. But I'm thinking if I skirt one of the sides, leaving it enough area, of course, to make it plenty strong. Go ahead and turn off my body. Alright, I do have that sketch right there of where that point is, so that's beneficial. Let's go ahead and draw a point from the very bottom. Let's go ahead and draw it into there, and then offset from that 0.15. That should be plenty. Thickness, and let's do a little bit of an arc here, as well as see. Let's make the arc go to there to there. Trim those up real quick. Didn't need it too far in there. All right. So the wires come out straight center, but actually let's go back and revisit that real quick. I could probably actually center those on one side. Let's see. All right, so let's abandon the going from the edge, and let's go to the center. Let's go to the edge on one of these sides. All right, I'm going to offset that 0.15. Should be plenty of thickness for the actual wires and so on and so forth to go through. And we're going to go to do the same, put a little arc here just to get something, should be pretty good at giving it something, a channel to go into. Let's make that go up. And let's look at that. So it kind of gets centered over here, and it kind of angles off to the side over here so as to avoid the screw hole in the main body. So let's go ahead and turn the visibility back on the main body. And let's go ahead and resume our sketch over here. We need to go back to the sketch I started right there and then realized, actually let's delete that sketch and start a new sketch so I have that geometry right there. Let's go ahead and project it. And just project that line and that line, which are utterly useless. I know that's 0.15, so let's just measure that at 0.092. So let's create our point right here and dimension it 0.92, so 0.165 roughly. Should be pretty close to the center of that. Let's go ahead and make a hole. 2 inches long is fine. All right. You can kind of see it through the screw. But that might be fixed by just making my diameter of my screw, or my hole that I'm carving through, a little bit smaller. Okay, that mostly fixed it. I don't think that's going to be causing issues at all. Yeah, that looks fine to me. And it provides a nice channel to kind of, I can probably tape it or glue the wire running through that channel and make a nice hidden exit through there. Don't know exactly how I'm going to connect these It'd be nice to have a little connector, but I also don't want to have something, carved into this that really weakens it more than it's kind of already weakened. Let's look at that from there. That should give it plenty of room. That arc is in there enough to let the cables bend down and go through that channel instead of continuing along that arm. So I think it's a decent design. It shouldn't weaken it too much. There's still quite a bit of material on the top that is uncontested or undisturbed. So I think it's ready for testing, and I need to do the same thing on these remaining pieces. So let's go ahead and look at this and rotate it. If I just use that same arm over here, it's going to be on the left hand side of that arm again. Let's make a point and simply dimension it from here to there, 0.165. Finish and create a hole. So that lets it see a little easier or kind of where it's exactly hitting. Let's just shoot. Oh, I made that one at 2 anyways. So 0.15 a hole will actually completely avoid the screw hole. So let's go ahead and adjust that on that one. And we should be able to get our wires through all of that size. Finally, let's go over here. Using that same piece, rotating it, it'll be on the far right of this one. Far left, far left, far left, far left. Okay, be on the left. Just rotating that around. Yeah, it's always gonna be on the left. Let's go back over here to the back real quick. Do a barrel roll, point, and 0.165. And if I need to make that a little bit bigger, what I might do is just offset that a little, because my channel coming down is only 0.15. So if I make it bigger and offset that away, and so it's not interfering with this hole at all, I think that'll be fine. All right, let's do one last sketch. And finish this bad boy up, ready for printing. Okay, finish and hole. It actually remember my settings. About time. All right, that is unfortunate. So the angle on that isn't going to allow those two to actually connect. By not doing it in the center, it actually doesn't connect. I didn't realize that at first. So, but if I flip that upside down and get that on the other side, that's simply not going to work. So that means I'm going to have to make 2 separate arms. That's quite annoying. So hoping to have the same part, so I can just have like 1 or 2 extra spares in case one breaks, and it should be universal. So see that hole. Let's just see if making it a little bit longer lets it extrude. Okay, it does. All right, so these ones just need a little more due to the longer path. Not that long, much longer. 2.5. All right. So that one's in there pretty good. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of fine tuning. Let's do 1.75 and see if it still is in there. Shit, should be in there plenty. Let's do 1.8 on those. 1.85. Let's give them a little bit extra. On these ones, let's do 2.25. Yep, that looks good. So I did 2.4. Number 6, 2.25. All right, so we now have all 4 of them coming in. They actually pretty much come in at the exact same point, which will be interesting for running wires. Let's get both of those visible real quick. So coming through, they actually crisscross. Fun. All right. Actually, I'm probably going to go back to this extrusion that I did right there. Yep, that one. And dimension that to 1.75. And let's just see if that lets us get kind of in that channel where it's actually crisscrossing, maybe. All right, yeah, that's a lot better now. I can at least have a direct path to the endpoints. Probably go ahead and leave those extra channels there just for now. They're not really hurting anything. So for now, I'm pretty happy with it. I have channels to nice and hide, except for that one is hitting for some reason. It's only one of the bunch hitting. But I'm just going to leave it alone for now. .65. Finish. It's rather frustrating. It'll be hole 7. 0.165. Just adjust it over manually a little. That's close. Do the hair more. Don't know exactly why that one's different than the other ones. But we're just going to roll with it. Alright, so I like the nice hitting cable ideal. On here, I'm probably just going to have to tape it down or possibly just glue those in there so they don't move. And as I get to the project, the rest of this project, once it's printed, will be finished on the Thought Provoking Tech channel. So go over there and watch the remainder of it. But I'm probably going to try to come up with an idea for the electronics to kind of hide it. There'll probably be a revisit of this project on Printed in the near future as I kind of get on this project deeper down, get the electronics made, and have to do some revisions. Alright, so version 1 of the design is now done. I am pretty happy with the design itself. It's better than I originally thought. It was going to be pretty boxy at first. By adding that outcropping there and adding this loft feature on the bottom plate, made it look a lot better, make it look a little bit sleeker, and overall a better design. So I'm very interested to see how this prints, the different parts of it, and start getting it put together for the rest of this series. The rest of the series will be posted on Thought Provoking Tech. The printed channel is more of the design phase. These videos will be longer, so I'm definitely looking for feedback on that. And when you get to more of the electronics and stuff, I will be posting that kind of stuff on Thought Provoking Tech. So make sure you subscribe to both channels to stay tuned for those details. Certain projects that are more just on the printed 3D printing and finishing aspects will be entirely hosted on Printed, while certain projects like this that are on a much larger scale will span both channels. I felt that we're kind of getting two different focuses, I guess. While the other channel is already pretty diverse in what I will be doing, from cloud computing stuff to electronics projects, having these longer form content videos I felt kind of needed their own channel to kind of give them some breathing room, as there are pretty long content, and I'm definitely looking for feedback on that. With that in mind, make sure to subscribe to both channels, like I already said, and like this video. In addition, check the links in the description below. There's the Twitter handle, which you can find in the link below, and it's also on the screen too. I will be posting printed projects and thought-provoking tech projects on the same Twitter handle. In addition, you can view the website. You can see the link right there. That'll link to the Thought-Provoking Tech blog, but you can actually get to the blog there for printed. I'm going to try to get a hot link directly to that one too in the near future, so you can go straight to there. Once again, the blog site, we want to iterate a little more on that. It's going to have a community site, so you can register. There's some forums that we can talk in, chat, share your own projects. I'm definitely cool with that, as well as asking more detailed questions on the forums, as well as being able to follow different blogs. I will have other blogs in the future that I'm kind of starting up for the interest that I have, such as space travel and so on and so forth. So just check that out. It's definitely going to be interesting. It's just starting out. It's at the very early stages right now, but definitely check it out and register. I would definitely appreciate that as we start to grow the thought-provoking tech community in general. So thanks for watching, guys. If you made it all to this end of this video, I know it's a long. I thank you for that. I hope you found it interesting. I kind of like the behind-the-scenes view of the design process, and I am only been using Inventor for not even a year now, and I don't use it quite daily. I use it more kind of on the rendering side. I don't do a lot of the design process itself, but I try to use it almost daily, even if it's just to play around a little to learn and better myself with Inventor. So some things I might do might be the slowest way to do them, might not be the best way to design it, but I just figured it'd be cool to have a little bit of behind the view scenes. So without further explanation and dragging this video on any longer, thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, Zach out.